Okay, hello everyone. I want to talk today about something that I'm doing the first week in August, and I want to invite you to do it with me. I'm going to do a media fast for the first week of August, so August 1st to the 7th. This was not my idea. I was watching the Certified Health Nut, crazy guy who I think is awesome, and if you're interested in some of the things I'm interested in, you might want to follow him if you don't already. He suggested it, and I thought, you know what, that's a darn good idea. So I'm going to do it, a media fast, for the first week of August. August 1st through 7th. So what does that mean? It means no news. I don't watch news anyway. Doesn't feel like a loss for me. But not just like news on television or news on the radio or news from the newspaper. It means wherever you get your news. Right? Even if you don't watch mainstream media, even if you watch alternative media, that's also kind of a joke, but wherever you get your news, all right? So no news, no social media scroll, no algorithm, no doom feeds, no outrage porn, no breaking news, no, you absolutely have to see this, all the ways that we get hooked into the scroll, right? None of that. Just quiet. Okay. And I want to talk about why, obviously. I think you know why, but it's still worth talking about because there's a lot more to this than just taking a break, right? This is about realizing how powerful we are, okay? It's actually a sovereignty practice. And I think it just, might be one of the most radical things that you can do right now. A lot of people feel helpless when they look at the world right? We are not helpless. We are not powerless. This is a sovereignty practice, and we need to understand the power of our attention and the power of our creative energy because it is what this entire world runs on. Literally, okay? That is not metaphorical. I am not exaggerating. Our energy as human beings runs this world. It does. Okay, so we need to start to realize the power that we have. Okay, and let's look at what we're actually consuming. Sorry, here, I'm going to put my, this is my light system watch, and it's running a scalar energy around me right now. I like to do this, several times a day. Anyway, so what are we consuming here? What are we actually consuming when we are on social media, when we are consuming any media, really? Let's name the content of this feed. Honestly, most of it, if we're being real about, what is actually in the information stream, right? The feed, that should tell us something right now, right? Like, so it's like it's feeding you. But are you really, being totally conscious of what you're consuming? Not just the information itself, but what's underneath it, right? What is the frequency of it, the energy of it, right? And we're told that we need to consume this every day to be responsible citizens of the world, right? What are we actually consuming? Fear, outrage, anxiety, shame, envy, lust, addiction, looping constantly, grief, outrage, rage bait. My 13-year-old niece, uses that phrase, rage bait. Tribal conflict, this constant low-grade hum of something terrible is happening and you need to know about it right now, and most of it is AI anyway. So, look, we've talked about this, propaganda for sure. We've talked about this phenomenon of looshing, right? This for a year now. Ever since I started doing this series about how our emotional energy, particularly at the frequencies of, anxiety and shame and guilt and anger and fear, and lust and all of those, the higher frequencies too, but the lower frequencies are particularly harvestable, and about how the entire media architecture, the legacy news, the alternative, I'll put it in quotes, news, the social media platforms, the algorithmic feeds are not designed to inform us. They're not designed to inform us. That's ludicrous. They're designed to keep us in a state of emotional activation that produces exactly what the system needs. That's what it's about. It's not about, keeping you informed so you can be a responsible citizen. It's about keeping us in a state of nervous system stress and emotional activation. This is not accidental. This is the business model. This is, at a deeper level, it's the energy extraction model. This is how it works. We are not the consumers. We are the resource. They call us consumers all the time. Consumers do this. Consumers are doing that. Consumers, they call us consumers all the time because that's what they want. That's what they want us to think of ourselves as. We're not consumers. We are generators. We are generators of energy. We are the ones who are human and still connected to our hearts are directly connected to the source of infinite energy. And we think we've got nothing. We think we're barren. We think of ourselves as empty. We think of ourselves as consumers. We think of ourselves as the ones who have to go out and get something because we don't have it. That's what they want you to think. That's the propaganda, right? We are the resource. We are the resource. We are the reason for this whole matrix reality. So the question is, are you going to keep showing up to be harvested? Are we going to just keep showing up to be harvested? Or are we going to realize really, truly have? All right, so it's irresponsible not to be informed. Okay, I'm back. I want to address this guilt programming that we have about, it's irresponsible not to be informed. I want to be a responsible citizen. It's my civic duty. Let's dismantle this. This is just another guilt programming, and I want to look at it directly. Okay, and let me spend a moment here because I know that this is an objection that comes up for a lot of people. It used to come up for me too, right? But I have a responsibility to be informed. It's irresponsible to look away. If good people tune out, the bad guys win, right? This is what we're told. I understand this. I used to somewhat feel it too, and I want to look at it carefully because, there's a kernel of genuine concern and responsibility in it that's worth honoring. But, there's also the guilt programming that's layered on top of it that we need to examine. First of all, what does being informed actually mean? Does it mean, consuming a continuous live feed of algorithmically curated emotional triggers? Is that what it is to be informed? Or does it mean having a clear, grounded, accurate understanding of what's happening in the world? Okay, and how can you know that the information that you're getting is real? That it's accurate? I mean, I think if anybody who is paying attention must be starting to realize that the news has a point of view, right? Okay, so these are not the same thing, right? The continuous feed actively works against. All right, sorry guys, I got a bad connection. What was I saying here? Okay, the difference between consuming a feed of algorithmically curated emotional triggers and actually being accurately informed in a way that is grounded and understanding what's happening in the world. first of all, for the latter, it's very, very dicey out there. So it's hard for anybody to say that they're accurately informed now, okay? But the first one actually works against the second one, right? Because the continuous consumption of a feed that is designed to activate you emotionally works against you actually being able to think clearly, right? A nervous system that is in chronic activation cannot think clearly. It can only react, and reaction is not discernment, right? Also, the belief that our individual attention is what keeps the good guys in the game, and all of this good guys, bad guys is dualistic thinking, and we need to see beyond that too. And this idea that if we look away, that evil wins, that's in itself a form of programming, isn't it? Because it's designed to make you feel that your vigilance, your worry, your daily consumption of the horror show is a form of civic duty. I mean, when I say it out loud, it sounds funny. It is not. It is a louche delivery mechanism that is dressed up as responsibility. So we're not more effective as a force for good when we are chronically activated and emotionally depleted. When we're worrying about the state of the world, we are less effective in that state. The fact of doing a media fast makes you more, not less, useful to the world. So let's talk about, why this is so hard. Like, why people feel just anxious, leaving their house without their phone, for example. We have this addiction, obviously, to these devices, and it's built on an addiction to outside authority, and that was cultivated in us as soon as we came out of the womb, if not before. And that's the something deeper, that's happening here that I also want to name, because we have been profoundly conditioned over many, many, many generations, and through every institution from school to church to media to government, to look outside for information. Okay, that's what we do. We look outside for information, for truth, for reassurance, for direction, for understanding of what is real, in quotes. This conditioning, again, is not accidental. It is the operating system of the control matrix. And because, it's a being who looks outside for all authority has effectively disconnected from the one source of true intelligence that cannot be hacked, that cannot be manipulated, that cannot be algorithmically curated. And that is our heart source connection. Right? Our heart, our deep heart, the portal, direct, unmediated, last thing they want you to know about, last thing they want you to look into, right? We've been talking about this all season, and on my podcast, The Grace Space, we had amazing guests like Katie Bishop and Rebecca Barron and Poppy Joy, people who talk about the heart, right? This teaching that the heart is the teacher and the mind is the student. That's what Rebecca Barron always says, right? And this is true. That direct connection to the infinite is available to all humans who have not lost their heart connection, who have not, you have it. If you have not sold your soul for money, fame, power, any of the stuff that, people normally compromise their soul for, right? If you haven't done that and you're still connected to your heart, you're a human being and you have this direct connection to source. You may not have a lot of currency with it, but you can develop that. We all can, because that is available to us all the time. But this connection is subtle. right? It is quiet. It speaks in a register that is of the felt sense, right? It's not the register of the breaking news alerts that say, look here, look here, look here, look here. It is a completely different speed, right? It's a completely different experience to listen, to tune into that space than it is to be constantly attracted and distracted through the senses, by the outside world, right? And when the noise is constant, which it pretty much is, we are, perpetually plugged into this feed. I feel like we're being force-fed, actually. And when that is happening, then our signal gets drowned out. Not because it goes away, but because we just can't hear it, or we can't sense or feel it over the static. And of course, that's deliberate. So when, you do a media fast, it's not just that signal, right? Restoring the signal of your heart source connection and giving it space to be felt again. And, actually training ourselves to trust that we actually do have access to all information, right? We have access to all that is real through this heart connection. We have access to the infinite field through this heart portal to source, right? Most people are like, yes, intellectually, yes, I agree. But, are we actually taking the time to tune in with it, to ask questions of it, to feel and sense through it, to connect to reality through it? That is something entirely different. And when we're constantly hooked by the feed, scroll, right? We can't do that. We're not in that mode. All right? So this is what a week of quiet can do, and why it is genuinely threatening to the system that we do it. So if you don't like the way things are going out there, if you want to unhook from the system, if you, feel like you want to do something, well, disconnect from that beast. We have the power to do it because we don't need it. It needs us. We don't need it. It needs us. That's it. This is the metaphysical heart of this transmission. If you take nothing else away, realize you don't need the system. The system needs you. Period. The noise out there does not have an independent existence. The narratives, the fear loops, the disease cycles, the political dramas, the doom timelines, all of this stuff that we are force-fed is not solid. It does not have an independent existing reality that exists whether we engage with it or not. It exists because we engage with it. You guys, let's realize the power that we are the creators. We are the creators of this reality. If you see something on TV and you give it your belief, you make it real. When we do that collectively, we make things real. We bring them into the material. This is how timelines, happen. This is how it works in the universe. Okay? These things exist, these things in the feed exist because we engage with them. We give material form to reality by our belief in it. That is because we are creator beings connected to the source. We give material form to reality by our attention to it, by the emotional energy that we pour into it, the thought forms and narratives and timelines and even systems, they are sustained by the collective field of human attention and belief. This is how powerful we are. When the attention is withdrawn, what do you think happens? They lose their coherence. They don't have an independent existence. They begin to dissolve. Anything that is real, that is really happening, is real. Anything that is not real, anything that is fabricated, anything that is just a narrative, an agenda, right, that has no real existence in the real, the capital R real, dissolves when we withdraw our attention from it. And this is not wishful thinking. This is how consciousness and matter actually work. This is how powerful we are. And we have seen this across metaphysical traditions, and we're beginning to see it confirmed now at the edges of quantum physics. The observer is not separate from the observed. The field of attention is a generative field because we are generators, not consumers. We are the generators of everything. This is why our energy is so valuable. This is why it is being harvested constantly. They make money out of it. They make everything out of it. So what does this mean in the practical sense? Okay, every time you choose not to consume the fear narrative, not because you're avoiding it out of fear, right? Not because, it's from a place of spiritual bypass, but from a sovereign, conscious place, a conscious choice to withdraw your generative, creative energy from a system that requires it in order to survive. You are doing something real. You're participating in the dissolution of the construct, the false overlays over the real. Okay, there's the real. Here's how I think of it anyway. I don't know. I'm not telling you to believe anything, but here's how I feel it and sense it, is that there is something real, right? Real with a capital R, born of source. And over that, something has been overlaid, right? Something has been like a false kind of reality. Maybe it is AI generated, right? Has been laid over what is real. And in this layer of it's our attention to it and our belief that sustains it. It is our attention and our belief that sustains it. So that system needs us. We do not need. Let's try to get this through our heads. The system needs our fear. It requires our suffering. Yes, I've seen so much proof of that this year. It has knocked my socks off and outraged me. I got outraged, right? That's the outrage. But that's the outrage. It's not the outrage that is in reaction to the feed, right? It is the righteousness, the righteous outrage that comes up inside a human being when they realize we are totally being used by this system, right? When your soul cries out and says, no way, no more, right? And I don't recommend it as a permanent state, right? But it is necessary. It galvanizes you. It galvanizes your human dignity, right? So that's what I'm talking about, right? That system needs our suffering to perpetuate itself. It needs our divided focus, right? It needs our belief in its inevitability. It needs our belief it's just going to go this way, right? So, and it needs our daily act of showing up to consume it, right? Our consent to be informed by it. Our belief that we need it, which is an act of consent to its authority over us and over our perception of reality. Is that what you want? It's not what I want. So when we stop en masse all together, and even individually, there is a shift. Anything that we turn away from collectively, wow, it's going to lose its hold. Not just its hold over us, but even eventually its very coherence. This is, the most radical act available to us now, right? If you think that, a political act is important, or this is so much more important than that. This is so much more powerful than that, because it goes to the core of our being. It goes to the core of who we actually are, right? It's more powerful than protest. It's more powerful than petition. It is so much more powerful than voting. Don't even get me started on that. I mean, this is the real withdrawal of consent, withdrawal of attention, withdrawal of our life force that the system runs on. And obviously, there's many more areas that we could exercise this in, not just withdrawing our attention from social media, from media itself. I mean, that's a big one for sure, right? There's lots of ways that if we decide en masse, we're not going to participate anymore, the whole thing shuts down. It's over. It's over. So, what do we do? How do we orient ourselves? What does a week like this actually look like? And if you recently tuned in, I've been talking about how I'm going to do a media fast, me personally, from August 1st to the 7th. And I was inspired by the Certified Health Nut here on Instagram. He suggested it, and I think he's a pretty funny guy. And we share a lot of practices. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about it. So, what does a week of media fasting actually look like? So I'm just going to give us a few suggestions. They're not rules, obviously, they're just invitations. But, in the time that you would have spent scrolling or watching news or consuming information in whatever form you use to consume it, go outside, maybe, right? Or do something else. But I recommend the natural world because even briefly, when you're outside in nature, it allows your nervous system to remember what it feels like to be in the natural world, which is not running a loosh operation on you. It's like the only place you can go where you're not being, if you can get away from those towers. So notice what comes up when the noise is gone. For a lot of people, for myself anyway, the first day or two brings discomfort, kind of like a restlessness. You're reaching for your phone, you have this urge to check things. You may have a low-grade anxiety about what you might be missing, or that anxiety itself, that feeling itself is information, important information, so feel it, right? Don't feed it, right? But feel it. Because it'll pass. It's just like when you fast from food, right? When you fast from food, you start realizing every time you have an impulse, to get something, right? To go munch on something, to go to the kitchen and answer a craving. And a lot of times we realize that what's under that craving is something emotional, like you're feeling uncomfortable or feeling empty or anxious or something like that. And a lot of times we cover that up with food, right? Or whatever our habit is, right? So it's the same thing here. So yeah, it's a thing to notice because it will pass. It does pass. And also pay attention to what arises from within you when you stop importing everything from the outside, right? Importing all your information and your insights and your creativity, and right? Stuff comes from inside you because that is really the only real place that it can come from. Insight comes from within. Creativity comes from within. Remembrance of who you are that doesn't get a word in edgewise when that feed is constantly running, right? That's what you're making room for. That's what we are making room for. And people say, well, yeah, but what if something happens? What if something really important happens? Well, look, if something genuinely important happens in the world that you need to know about, you will know. You will know. Word travels fast, and the trusted people in your life will reach you. You will know. You're not going to miss something that actually matters to your life in 7 days. Promise you that. So, in closing, I'm sorry it's been so skippity today with the connection, guys. It's just, yeah. Away from the feed. In fact, something really powerful can happen, and that is you begin to feel the world more accurately, not through the distorted lens of algorithmically curated activation, okay? Because we have to realize that what we are seeing is a curated algorithm, all right? What you are seeing on your feed is different from what somebody else is seeing on their feed, right? Right? Because it's curated to you to reinforce your a limited sense of reality for you, right? So instead of seeing or perceiving life through that distorted lens, you start to shift the balance back inside of you. And that is what we are reclaiming. Not ignorance, not avoidance. We're reclaiming direct perception. That's how it was always meant to be. You will find you. Even my 13-year-old niece, who was away at camp for 3 weeks where they took their phones, said that she didn't miss it. She just had fun with her friends outside. Well, what a novel idea. We should all take a page from that book. All right. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for listening. See you again in 2 weeks.